Hi, Heather. You're on mute.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Padma is on vacation this week, so we are still meeting, obviously. Phyllis was just here, but her camera wasn't working, so she left and then is supposed to be coming back, but
Okay.
we'll see. She should be here. I don't, it was, it was giving her weird notifications about her camera. You know how Zoom is.
I do. I'm a teacher. I taught all year on it.
Yeah, it works and it works and it works and everything's good, and then you do the same thing, and then it's
Right.
like, you need to update it or whatever. Yeah, so I'm going to this rarely happens that the practitioner isn't here, but it's summertime, so it's just
Yeah.
the way it goes. I'm going to play a recorded meditation from several months ago. Um, I could try to lead a meditation on my own, but I think you guys will get more out of it if it's coming from Padma. And then she left me some like discussion topics. So hopefully
Okay.
Phyllis comes back and you guys can talk. How has your week been?
It's
Oh,
been
here she
good.
is. How's summer? Kids all home? Is
Yes.
that good
Kids
or
are
bad?
home. It's good, but they've been home the whole pandemic because my son's high risk. So
Oh, right.
they've been home a lot. But
Yeah.
he's vaccinated now. So they're doing swim team, which is nice and
Yay.
good.
Phyllis, your camera's working. Yay. You're muted.
I rebooted my computer.
Perfect. That's
That
just all
helps
it
a
takes
little.
sometimes, off and on. So annoying, but
Hi, Heather.
Hi, Phyllis. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Same old, same old.
Yeah, yeah.
I forget, you're in New Jersey?
I am, yeah.
Is it, are you experiencing a heat wave like the rest of the United States, or is it pretty normal?
Yeah, but normal for New Jersey. It's been in
Oh,
the low
okay.
90s every day, but that
Gotcha.
happens every summer, so it's not weird for us.
Gotcha. Yeah. I've heard, well, where I live, it's about 6 or 7 degrees hotter than it normally is. It's like in the 110, 113. We
Ooh,
don't usually experience
that's
that.
brutal.
But I've heard Oregon, Washington, those other Western states are way hotter than normal.
Yes. I have a friend out in Washington whose son has what my son has, and their
Hmm.
power's been out for like 5 days now,
Oh
and
my
all sorts
gosh.
of medical equipment. So it's like this huge deal. And the combination of like the heat and that a bad storm go through. And so basically,
Yeah.
the whole system's got overloaded wherever she's at. And they
Oh my
really have.
gosh. 5 days is a long time. And so I lived in Michigan last summer and they have summer storms. I'm from California. We don't have summer storms.
Right.
We just have heat. Um, when the power goes out citywide, it's like it takes forever for them to
Yeah.
fix it. And you watch your app that says when they're coming, and it just keeps moving back. They
Yes.
just don't, they can't handle everybody. My
A couple of
goodness.
years back, we had a tornado go through the neighborhood, and it, ripped all the power lines down. So that was
Right.
we're out of power for a week and a half. It was
Oh
pretty
my
much
gosh.
summer, so it was hot and like
Yeah,
nothing works. And of course, every hotel that does have power gets booked, so there's nowhere to go.
right. Oh my gosh.
It
I
was
would be so cranky, I think, if I was that
we
hot
ended
all
up
the
buying
time.
a generator to run. And like, oh,
I
it was
Right.
can't even
terrible.
imagine it. We have a generator in case it ever happens here, but it's never happened.
Okay.
I
And we
can't
get
imagine.
big snowstorms, so we lose our power when if we get a blizzard, and
Hmm.
we're more used to that. But tornadoes are rare in New Jersey, so that was an odd one to have a tornado come through and to have it be down for so long because nothing here is built to withstand a tornado. Like
Right.
it's not something they're thinking is going to happen in New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, oh
So
boy.
now tell me something good about New Jersey.
New Jersey is the best place to live because anything you love, you can get to. You can drive to mountains, you can drive to the shore, you can drive to a lake, you can drive to a major city, and everything's within 2 hours no matter where you are. So you can go into Philly and get a cheesesteak and then go up to New York City and see a Broadway show. You can head down the shore and go to the beach. You can head to the Poconos and be in the mountains. So we've got the best of everything. And we've got all 4 seasons.
Oh, that does sound good.
Yes.
Yes, it does. I've never been to the East Coast. I
You've
went
never
from
been to the East Coast?
the farthest I've been, well, I live in the Midwest. So, yeah, I've been Michigan, Illinois. It's the farthest, and that's definitely Midwest.
Yeah.
So, never
The
been.
furthest west I've like really been is Kentucky. I flew through Texas once, but I don't think that counts.
Yeah.
I didn't get out and walk around or anything.
Yeah. Kentucky's not too far. I think that's like, I don't know if they consider that Midwest. I think they do. Midwestern state, I think.
Yeah.
I've been to Kentucky once, but just for a few hours. We drove there, played a soccer game, and then drove back.
Okay.
I didn't do
There's
any sightseeing.
Pediatric pain camp there that they do
Oh,
every
okay.
summer for kids who live with chronic pain. So we went
Cool.
in 2018 and 2019 for a week each, but obviously it was canceled the last
Yeah,
2 with the pandemic. So
right. Are they doing it this summer?
no, it's canceled this year because it's for all different age groups and a lot of kids aren't vaccinated.
Right.
And a lot of kids who would go are high risk with high risk medical issues. So
Yeah,
we're hoping next summer that we can go again.
yeah. I'm sure everyone's looking forward to all these things that they usually do and get back. But well, maybe I'm gonna Phyllis, so Padma's on she is in Idaho off the grid this week. So I'm going to play a recorded meditation from her, and then she left me with some topics to discuss. So I'm just gonna play. You guys might have to help me problem solve this. I Googled it before we got on here, but I know when I was in school, when teachers would try to play the YouTube videos, sometimes the sound wouldn't work.
Right.
So let me know if it's not working, but I think I know how to do it. But oh, it didn't give me the option though. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, let me know if you can hear this. Is it like way too loud or way too quiet?
It's okay.
Okay, great. So we'll just do this like we normally do, and then we'll move on to the discussions that she left me. If that sounds good to everybody.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Now you've got no sound, Paige.
Oh, okay. How about now?
No small thing.
Yes.
Carve
Okay,
time out for
cool.
yourself. And yet you deserve it and you need it. You need it. So with that, let's just meditate for a moment here. And just letting yourself really settle in. Feel the weight of your body, the weight of your bones. And just allow your breath to be easy. And perhaps you can let the breath be a breath of acknowledgement, acknowledging yourself for the fact that you showed up here today. You carved out some window of time for yourself. And time is at a premium for you as a rare mother. Just really acknowledging yourself, thanking yourself. is the more you take this time, this sacred time for yourself, the more this space of peace, place of silence, refuge, the more it naturally grows. Because like a garden, what we tend to grows. So right now you're tending to the garden of your heart. Really letting yourself settle. And if there are thoughts that are floating around, perhaps you can let them float by. You can trust that the important ones will resurface in just the right moment. And what if you can pour the warm light of your attention into this sacred space of your heart, where the flame of love is quietly burning, the flame of peace, just letting yourself continue to turn inwardly, guiding the intelligence of your mind that knows so well how to do so many tasks in the world, tending for your child, for your children, handling a million details for your life, for your work. Let's just for right now take that light of intelligence and turn it inside. Just allowing that light of intelligence to shine inside, illuminating your heart, dancing with that light of love and peace, of solace, so that there's a union of mind and heart. And whenever you notice the mind rushing off in another direction, you can gently guide it back in. Because each time you return to this place of peace inside, You're making a deposit in this account so that it will be there for you to draw from in any moment where there's an emergency, perhaps with your child, where there's something where you're needed. Some part of your attention continues to rest inside, even as the bell rings. There's no rush. Let your attention rest inside. Maybe just because we can, place a hand on your heart. And if your other hand wants to rest somewhere like your belly or somewhere that just wants a little attention, you can do that. Just hold yourself. Hold yourself and feel how you are also held as a rare mother in this moment, in this space, in this vastness of your own heart. So you can stay with your attention inside. I'd like to read you a poem by Dana Falls. The book is called Go In and In. Inner fire. What does it take to keep the inner fire of inspiration burning? What wakes the soul from sleep when the mind yearns for any respite from the storm? What calls forth courage when fear is a known and frequent guest? When the winds of change and circumstance swirl in circles, when breath is short and shallow, what brings release? The peace of God, of love, is present in the tumult and the temple. A single thought can move us from the unreal to the real, to dance or kneel, to sing or speak a prayer of gratitude and praise can spark the flame of truth again. To remember and forget, to find and lose, to remember and forget again. There is no shame in this. To recall the grace that is our nature brings down the wall that separates and draws the gaze inside once more. There, the open door of the heart glows like a beacon in the night. There, we rest in stillness and light. I thank Dana Falls for her inspired heart. So from here, before we transition to speaking, I would like you to just see what's moving in you. And if you have a pen and a piece of paper, that would be great. A journal. We'll just take a few minutes because writing and reflecting, just letting come what comes, is very integrative, serves an integration. So just what is it that as a rare mother, what is it that supports you to really pause and turn toward this inner light? What supports you? How do you do it? How do you do it? Because it's something that is needed. So how do you return? How do you discover? So let's just take a few minutes here, and I'll call you back. Just let whatever comes come.
Would either of you like to share what you wrote or what you were feeling as we went through that meditation from Padma?
Well, for me, I think it's my faith that really helps me when things are hard. And I have favorite scriptures that I'll say when things are really bad. I think I spent the whole year where we weren't sure if my son would live or die, saying, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me at every moment in every hospital room. So there's that. And I'm trying to be better about self care and taking these moments here. And I did yoga. I went to yoga yesterday and do those kind of things to take a break for myself.
It's hard, but it's worth it. Phyllis? You're muted, Phyllis.
Heather, I'm glad that you talked about how your faith buoys you up and supports you, because I don't have my children right now, but my husband has health problems, and I feel like I'm back in that sometimes when I'm faced with taking care of him. And I think back, I remember that how many times every day my faith was there for me. And what we're doing now with meditation and exercise and eating right, those were all things that I did then to get myself through so that I could be there for my children. And I'm a survivor. And there was one thing that I thought of that, when I was younger, I had decided that I could only have 3 priorities. And I figured out that, myself was one of them, because I had to be there in order to be there for my family. And my church and my faith and my religion was the second one, because they, Heavenly Father got me through the hardest parts. And then, of course, my children. Well, there were consequences to there only being 3 priorities, because that left my husband out.
Right.
And if I could do it over, I would find some way to make it 4, or
Right.
change something, because I lost him for a lot of years. And I never did blame him. I always said that it was just circumstances.
Right.
But I would pay more attention to him if I had it to do over again somehow. And our subject was supposed to be how to be a team player
Yep.
for
Yep.
today.
Hmm.
Are you going to talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll
Yeah.
wait, because I
Oh,
have
perfect.
some thoughts about that.
Yeah, great. So we can kind of, I think that talking about how we focus on ourselves and like how we focus on self-care transitions into what does make a good team player? How do you do that when you're facing the worst year of your life, or when you're facing circumstances that you didn't think you would be able to overcome? How do you continue to be a team player? What works? What doesn't work? What is just unknown? Um, what do you feel like your strengths are? Like, what do you feel like you need to work on? Just anything about that. Phyllis, you wanna share your wisdom with us?
Uh, because I'm a writer and always have been, and writing is something that I have to do alone. When I had my 3 priorities, one of the activities for taking care of myself was to write and get the thoughts and emotions out of my head and out of my body onto paper. A lifetime of doing that set me up to be a loner. And that doesn't work well in a marriage. um, or if you're in a relationship, like when I was taking care of my parents when they were elderly, um, being alone all the time isn't being a team player. And I need to work more on that. So I'm hoping Heather has something to share that will help me to do better at that.
Well, I think I've been on the opposite end of that journey from you, because prior to my son getting diagnosed and becoming ill, I spent no time on self-care because I spent all my time being perfect. I'm a perfectionist and everything must be perfect. So I do my job and I work really hard and I spend a lot of time on my teaching. And then when I was home, all my time was about my kids and my house and my husband. And I was last on that list. And that worked until my son was really, 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 really sick. And then it was overwhelming because there was more to do than could be done. And I'm not sure what it was like to deal with insurance way back then, but now trying that is a full-time job, just to call the insurance company and try to get something approved and try to fix that denial and try to get medical treatment. As I said, originally we were denied medical treatment, they were going to let him die, and the whole thing that was, there was so much of that, and there was always more that could be done, and there was never going to be perfect again, right? Any downtime, it was like, well, I should be getting him to do his physical therapy exercises, and I should be doing his occupational therapy exercises, and I should spend time with his brothers because they get the short end of the stick. I'm at the hospital all the time with the older one, and I should, go out with my husband for sure. My poor husband doesn't get any time, right? So it was all these competing things, and there just weren't enough hours in the day. So I really started to get to this like overwhelmed, like I just felt anxious all the time. Like, what am I going to do? And I've been a perfectionist my whole life, 40 plus years. It was very hard to give it up. But I did hit that point where I was like, I've got to put on my own oxygen mask before I worry about anybody else, because it wasn't a bad time that was going to end, right? It wasn't like we broke a bone, it would heal and we would all move on and our lives would be normal. My son's condition is progressive, so my son will continue to get worse. Now they think a second child has it. That means that second child will become ill and continue to get worse. So it's not like you can do something for a short amount of time. I'll power through and then it will be back to normal. We have a new normal. So I started trying to be like, what can I do for self-care, and really working on it. And actually the pandemic helped me because I was less busy. At the start of the pandemic in March, when they didn't know what was going to happen, they originally said, well, just send a packet home for 2 weeks for your students. And then for the next 2 weeks, we sent them a packet. So it wasn't online teaching because that's not what the direction my school moved in. So all of a sudden I had all these hours in the day, and my kids were also getting packets from their school. So they weren't online at that moment. So then I had all these hours and I was like, okay, I can do all the things I wanted to do. And I started, exercising every day and realizing like I would get up before my kids woke up and go walk for 3 miles. And I felt a lot better. And then try to take some time where I started doing puzzles and I was doing diamond painting, but I would just sit at the dining room table and I'd play my music or my podcast. And I'd be like, nope, this is mommy's 30 minutes. You have to go talk to daddy if you have a problem. And I really felt like that has helped because it keeps me sane and able to do what I need to do, even when it's difficult. So for me, learning to be a team player was about stopping putting the rest of the team before me every day of my life. So, now I'm like, I'm going to go do this. Don't open the door. This is what I'm doing right now. And my husband's home with the kids. So hopefully they're all okay. But I used to feel guilty for that. And I don't feel guilty because, this is a long-term problem. And this is part of my solution.
Yeah. Creating something that's sustainable.
Right.
Because, being perfect is not sustainable.
It was going well for a while, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But me and my husband do okay right now. We try to balance who gets some free time. So there are things I want to do, like I went to yoga yesterday and I'm doing this today where I'll be like, I'm going to do this. And he goes out every week and plays pool with his buddies, or he'll meet them now that we're open back up, meet them at the bar and get a drink or whatever. So we try to both be okay with that. And we have a couple of weekends each during the year where I'll go away and he'll be home, or he'll go away and I'll be home, so that we each get that break.
Mm-hmm.
What we have a harder time with is going out together without the children, because when your children have medical issues, it's hard to leave them in the care of anybody else, because not many people feel capable of doing that. But sometimes we get away, but we do try every night, once we get all the kids to bed, to like watch a show together, or sit and talk about something. So we try to carve out this little hour at the end of the day after they've all gone upstairs.
Mm-hmm. So being a team player, it sounds like to you is supporting each other's moments of self-care.
Yes, I think so.
That's great.
I think there's another dimension to being a team player when you have a child who has issues, because back in my day, there weren't a lot of speech therapists, nurses, different kinds of therapy available. But what was available, I did take advantage of. But it was hard for me to let them go to somebody else for the care that they needed.
Right.
And one of the hardest things was when they had progressed to the point where they needed 24-hour nursing care. I was not prepared for that.
Right.
I was not prepared to let somebody else take care of my child.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'd only had one, it might not have been such an issue. But having two or three in my case, needing nursing care, 3 in diapers, 3 that couldn't speak. I think that's one thing I maybe did right. And I did it because it was the best thing for the children. It wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was to keep them with me, because I was the best mother in the world. And I could meet their need for love, empathy, compassion, touching, feeling, holding, feeding. I could do that. I didn't need somebody else to do that. But when uh, when it was life and death situations and I was not a nurse, that's when the decision had to be made. How much, and plus I had reached an exhaustion point.
Sure.
I I I, I laid down on the couch one afternoon and didn't get up for a week. I could not function anymore. And that was when the social worker uh, put an option in front of me that I had to make a decision about, which was there's a retired nurse who takes children into her home to take care of them. And my husband would not participate in making that decision. He had to face work every day and the financial responsibility of taking care of a family of 6, 7. Um, and he said that you have to make that decision. And that's when I think I made the right decision. I know I made the right decision because there really wasn't any other choice. We couldn't hire a nurse to come in and take care of them. And so my part of being a team player was to accept this retired nurse and to accept the social workers' input and the doctors that they needed a bigger team.
Right.
Because each of the boys was an individual and they each needed different things that I couldn't give them, therapies and attention that I couldn't give them. I want to say something about one of the team players. Eventually, they were so sick they needed to be in hospitals, and they went to Fairview Hospital. And there was a grandmother, a volunteer grandmother program. And so the children had their volunteer grandmother that came 3 times a week. And that was a bigger team,
Right.
you know, and so that's my story of being a team member.
Yeah. And I have great empathy for you on how hard those decisions are to make. Because I know too, I've had to make lots of decisions where nothing about parenting prepares you for these life and death decisions or these decisions that have major impacts on what will happen in the future. But you're always making them without really knowing which way it will go. Will this be better? Will this be worse? What will happen? And so I've been through that and I have a lot of empathy for how hard that is. And, just how brave you are. I can't imagine what you've been through.
Thank you. And I think you can imagine a little bit of it. Yes. Yes.
Yes and no, because my situation is not great, but I feel for you that your kids passed away. And I went through that with my brother who died, but I'm looking at, long term taking care of my children forever, but not what you had to go through. So how close in age were your boys who passed away?
That's interesting. we practiced all of the forms of birth control because we wanted to space them.
Right.
And a good example of the birth control not working was that when David was born, the IUD
Mm.
was delivered at the same time.
Oh man, that's no good.
We used the foam, the diaphragm, but I nursed each of my boys until they were 9 months old. And as soon as I stopped nursing,
You get
even though I
pregnant.
was
Yeah.
using a contraceptive,
Right.
I got pregnant. And so they were 18 months apart.
Okay.
And
But
I would
they
go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Um, the diagnosis didn't come until I was 8 months pregnant with the third boy.
Mm. Right.
And then when he was born the next month, they tested him and he tested positive.
Wow.
And the boys were born beautiful and perfect and normal.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing was is that they their arms were not straight. And
Okay.
the pediatrician didn't catch it. And so that's why the diagnosis didn't come until,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it took them a long time to diagnose my oldest son. We knew there was something wrong by the time he was about 15 months old, but no one could put a name on it. No one could tell what is that. And so we went around, to doctor to doctor to doctor and doing the OT and PT, but not really knowing what was happening. But the whole time it was like, well, it's just a fluke, right? It's just a fluke. It won't happen again. And they didn't diagnose him until he was 9, by which point I'd already had my other 2 children. So similarly, that's why my youngest is about to be diagnosed with the same thing, because we just didn't know, that it was something that we could be passing on early enough to have made a different choice, I guess. I mean, I love my son, don't get me wrong. I just feel bad that he's going to suffer in the same way my oldest one does.
I know how you feel. Yes. And my heart feels with love for you. I wish I could hold you. It's so great to know that there's somebody. I mean, it sounds weird, but it's good to know that I found you.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody else in the world that understands
Yes.
what we're going through.
I think for me, that's been a big part of the team player too, is that, when my son was diagnosed, it's a super rare condition, as I'm sure you're familiar with what that feels like. And so no one had ever heard of it. So no matter what friend I was talking to or who I was talking to, it was like, oh, I don't know what that is. And what does that mean? And I got a lot of, well, it could be worse. At least they don't have cancer. I'm like, that's not helpful. So I felt, alone with it, me and my husband and our family alone in this bubble of it. And then we got connected with the Coalition Against Pediatric Pain, which is an organization founded by a few women whose children had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or have it, but are adults now. And so they run this group that provides support to families with children like mine. And so we went, he got the diagnosis and we were kind of just overwhelmed for a year, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then we went to pediatric pain camp in Kentucky and we met a whole bunch of other families, 30, 40 other families who had children with issues like my child. And so to go from that point of, I don't know a single soul, and I don't know how I'm supposed to make decisions on a condition I don't really understand, that his doctors don't understand. I mean, that's the thing. You go to the pediatrician, they're like Googling it in front of you. I'm like, well, that's not really comforting. But to have that support, I feel like made all the difference for me. Like we found that organization within the first year, and those people are my team because, I have friends that I'm super close to that I've known for 20 something years, but they don't know what to tell me when I'm making decisions about, well, should I do this heart treatment, but it's dangerous? Should I not do this heart treatment? At one point, we had to make a decision about he needed a test done if he was going to have surgery in the future. If he didn't have the surgery, he would die, but he might die during the test. So do you want to run the test?
Frozen.
Are you frozen?
No, I heard you.
I guess
Phyllis occasionally has internet troubles.
Yeah. But yeah, so regular day-to-day people can't help with that decision, right? What do you say to somebody when you have no insight into that world? But having those people on my team where I could call or message them and being like, what do I do? And what do you think is best? And they've been through it because their kids had heart surgery, or their kid has dealt with this physical, impairment, and how have they solved it? Or how do they deal with the school who doesn't think their condition is real because they never heard of it? That really helps to have that team of people who have walked where I'm walking now. And we're a lot of them have kids, my kids' age or younger. So we're all dealing with it together, but it's that together part that makes it easier.
Yeah. Makes me think of, and this maybe seems like a shallow analogy, but, like when you're playing sports on a team, you can't ask players to do things that they don't know how to do. So maybe going to certain people on your team for a certain type of need ends up hurting, you, them, because you don't know how to support each other. So, knowing which member of your team to go to makes you a good team player, or knowing how you can support. And Phyllis kind of mentioned that earlier as well, and she was telling her story, knowing when to say, this isn't my role.
Right. I think that's a good analogy. I think you're right, because not everyone on the team is the goalie, right? Like everybody's got a different position. And you're right. The conversation I have with my husband about what to do versus my oldest and dearest friend versus somebody else in the established community are all three different conversations. And there's three different things I'm looking to get out of it, because they come from three different perspectives. And so my oldest and dearest friend will offer a lot of emotional support, but she has literally no opinion on what I should do because she doesn't know. She's not a medical expert, right? And my Ehlers-Danlos friends, they're going to give me that, okay, well, this is what you do. XYZ needs to be done. Here's a list. I'll send it to you, which isn't the same emotional support as my oldest and dearest friend, right? So you get this different roles for different people. But I feel like it's important to have all of them there. I definitely felt better once I found, that group of people to help support me with decisions for my son.
Yeah. Phyllis, you seem like maybe you have something to add.
No, I'm just glad that we all showed up.
Me too.
Yeah. Thank you for being there for us, Paige.
Yes, thank you, Paige.
I'm no Padma. She's missed, but I love being here with you guys, and I know this space is important. So, and I learn from you always. I'm so young and have so much to learn. So, I always learn when I'm here as well. So, I'm thankful for you, team players on my team,
right,
from all over the country. Yeah. Well, shall we send love?
Okay.
And move on with, I'm sure, busy days.
Yes.
Hot days.
Yeah, you stay cool in your 115.
You see my fan, it looks like it's gonna fall off the ceiling. Got it on so high. Well,
Okay.
sending love to you both.
Have a great week.
Thank you for coming.